Okay, time for another interview in place, and we have Rob Clark this week, the Deputy Director of Athletics Development. Rob, how are you?
I'm excellent. How you doing, Justin?
I'm doing great. I love the locker room background right there. And you told me just before we started recording here that you're not only dealing with the new role, you're dealing with something else in life right now. You're moving.
Yes. Yeah. Try moving during a global pandemic. Think about that one. I
So,
think my wife was questioning my sanity, yet at the same time, we're so thrilled about being in San Jose. So we've been fighting through it for
so,
sure.
so what stage of the move are you in right now?
Well, it's somewhere between we've got our framework of how we want things to look in 6 months, and a 2-year-old at home that's trying to make sure it doesn't look like anything it's supposed to look like. So,
As if you needed another curveball, right?
oh yeah, he's definitely he's throwing curveballs. We're trying to flatten the curve, and he's throwing curveballs. So,
Love it. Well, how are you settling in? I think last time we talked was on the podcast, and you were very new to the position and still kind of learning names and faces and whatnot. Now that you've been a little more established, how are you settling in?
doing well. I've been so impressed. I've been reaching out via phone and Zoom and a few socially distanced meetings as well. But over the last few months, it's been, I'd say, at least 100, 120 supporters that I've been able to connect with and just listen.
Yeah.
I think the last time we were talking, I shared that with you. I really want to listen. We had a meeting with our Spartan Athletics Fund Advisory Council a while ago, and I just shared what I've been hearing, several points of things that I've been hearing from them and others in the Spartan Nation community. So how we can get better, but most importantly, just hearing and understanding, so we can move forward in the best way to unite and build Spartan Nation.
Yeah, and that's something that I think, especially now, can't be overlooked. Just the communication and paying attention to every detail that you can, right?
Absolutely, and I've been so impressed with our team with Dominic Urrutia and Nate Olson and Janine Cochran as well. They've been reaching out too, during all this and during a lot of transition too, and I've been impressed with them reaching out and making sure that they're staying connected with our loyal supporters too. So the hope is we keep connecting and listening and understanding how we can move forward in a better way.
Right, and one of the ways that you reached out to so many fans, alumni, donors was the Thankathon not that long ago, where it's this great initiative, and I know you were talking about new initiatives and trying to get more engagement out of the community. That certainly was one way to do it, and maybe talk about how that went from your perspective.
Yeah, it starts with we need to appreciate. We know that people work hard and they work hard for their hard-earned money, and it's for us. It's saying thank you for the impact that they're making on our student athletes. Thank you for the support that they're giving Spartan Athletics and our coaches and our staff. And so that's the start.
Yeah.
We need to show the impact of their giving, and all of us want to give as well and make an impact in what limited way we can. And so with that being said, we started with everyone that had ever made a gift to Spartan Athletics as far back as our records would allow us. And our outreach ended up being, we found about 7,500 good email addresses of people who had supported us in the past. And we were able to make connections with about 2,500 people by phone. So it was a great initiative to start. So we had a combination of student athletes that were available, because they're all over, right?
Right, right.
so
Yeah.
so usually we would have everybody come together in Sefke Stadium up in the press box. We'd have our student athletes there. We'd be able to facilitate the phone calls. I mean, you can't do that right now.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, how do you do that and also get their information disseminated out? So Nate Olson did a great job putting it all together and who's calling whom, of our coaches, our student athletes, our staff. And then on top of that, it was, just a blitz. Like, how do we get this information out in 10 days?
Right.
And just say thank you. And Ryan O'Rourke and Joel Waltosti did a great job. You did a great job too of, putting together, these videos of our student athletes that our coaches and student athletes sent, just to say thank you. And
Mhm.
so I hope that everyone received the messages. If they did not, we're still going to continue to outreach and show our support and appreciation. But we got out there.
Yeah.
Hopefully
Yeah.
we made some good connections, because I've heard from several people that it was meaningful. And to me, I know it's always meaningful hearing from a student athlete saying thank you. That's why we do what we do.
Yeah, and I think that communication is important now, and hearing from student athletes is important now. We all try to stay positive because there's so much unknown right now, and you don't want to go to the negative thing, which is so easy to do. But one easy way to stay positive is we keep seeing these pictures of what Seth Hughes Stadium is going through, that transformation, right? And the new building, the east side being torn down, the new scoreboard going up. We've seen pictures of the new softball locker room setup that they're having. So there are a lot of positive things, even though there aren't sports being played right now, for fans to get engaged with. So from your point of view, you look at those and say, this is an opportunity, right?
Absolutely. And in that particular project, that's not just anything. That's a transformational project that's been talked about for years.
Mm-hmm.
I'm new to the show here, but I also recognize, and having talked with many supporters, this has been talked about for upwards of 15 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, knowing not only is it happening, it's happening during a pretty challenging time, not only for the nation, but for the world too, and for San Jose State. So for this to continue to move forward speaks to the vision of our president, President Papazian, the support of her, her cabinet, primarily Charlie Foss. And I know Marie's pushing like crazy. Coach Brennan's pushing like crazy. And all of us are. We've got a committee for the Spartan Athletics Center committee, and that committee has been pushing hard to drive giving and continue to push through this global pandemic. So, in the midst of all this, we're moving forward.
Yeah.
And we're not going to wait. We need to get better. We know that. We want to get better. And we know that this project will not only impact football and men's and women's soccer, but it's going to impact every student athlete on our campus. And so that's the key, of knowing that if this is going to have that kind of impact, we got to keep going and keep pushing.
I like it. And it's good to hear that too. And, we talk about what's going on now, what we did in the past. Immediate future, or even a year down the road, you were talking about initiatives that you're trying to install. What are some of the things that you can share right now?
Yeah, right now the first thing was to just listen, to understand what's been successful in the past, what hasn't. We have a history, a rich history with the Spartan Foundation, and many volunteers who had been involved since 1958. So understanding that this isn't just me walking in and saying this is how we're going to do things. Now, granted, I've 20 years experience in this, so right. I understand systems and processes, what's successful and what's not. Yet at the same time, not every place is the same. For me to sit here and say what's worked at Texas A&M is going to work at San Jose State, there may be some principles there, but that's not absolutely the truth. So to best understand was first step, and then the next step was going through and asking our Spartan Athletics Center committee and members there, as well as our Spartan Athletics Fund Advisory Council, and that's our annual fund council, asking them to make sure I'm listening properly, right? Because you can hear things, sure. you want to hear what you want to hear sometimes. So I came back with our development team, and we came back and we sat down and said, all right, are these 7 things that we've been hearing, these themes, are these right? And we've been getting pretty good feedback on that we're listening properly. So our next step is to take those initiatives and put together an organized annual fund that can excite and really unite and build Spartan Nation. We're hearing that over and over again. We need to unify, and we need to simplify some things too. So, in the midst of all this, that's the big initiative coming through. Is if you break it down into 3 key things that we're trying to accomplish, here's what they are. Step 1: how do we grow our annual fund so that there are more members, more people involved, more people feel like they belong? And when they do belong, they're feeling appreciated. So that's why the Thankathon was so important. The second, and really It's one A, 1A. They're really not number one, number two. This is one and number one. The Spartan Athletics Center. We've got to get that done. It's something that's been talked about for a long time. And so how do we help those who are close and interested in getting involved, get involved? And how do we do that in a way when we may not be able to meet face-to-face too? So there's some just unique challenges at this time, but we're going to continue to work through this, and we've had some success. The third initiative is our baseball practice facility. And we've had some recent success with the Lurie family making a historic gift, really, an unprecedented gift for baseball. And, being able to finish that off. So we're getting pretty close on that front to be able to get that funded for the first phase. So as we get through, those are the three key elements right now. The first one with the annual fund impacts every sport, every program, every student athlete. It's transformational. We get more people involved. But Spartan Athletic Center will do the same. It'll impact every student athlete as well. And then the baseball practice facility really, it's that key element of the South Campus project that we've been talking about for years. And I guess was the initial vision of Gene Blameyer, previous athletic director, to have the whole South Campus represented. So that's the last key piece, from my understanding, for us to get this done. So the Luries have made an impact there. So, we're excited. I mean, there's some good things happening right now. There's some momentum, and we feel like we can start capitalizing on these three key initiatives.
All right, Rob, before we let you go, any message that you want to say out to Spartan fans or donors that are watching this video?
Yes. Step one, if we haven't met, thank you for what you're doing. Thanks for your support. Thanks for being loyal. It's not always easy. Teams sometimes win, sometimes they don't. But staying loyal, that's a key. And those of you who are loyal supporters, thank you. We want to get the others that are listening that may not be supporting, let's get you back on board. And how can we make this a great experience for you? And should you have any suggestions or input, please feel free to reach out to us. We're here to connect. We're here to unite and build this for a better university, for a better athletic department, a better future. So, thank you. And let's go build this. Let's go get this done. Coach Brennan says it all the time. Let's go. So let's do this.
Awesome. Love it, Rob. Thanks so much. I'll let you get back to pulling toddlers out of moving boxes.
Yeah, he didn't jump on my lap this time. So there's a win for the day, Let's go.
Thanks, Rob. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Justin. Take care. Spartan up.